Hello again, wrestling fans. It is Thursday night, and you know what that means. Yeah, stealing from Brody Lee, but hey, gotta give props to him. It is Thursday night. It is January 21st, and we are live from London, Ontario. I'm Sean, and this is Scumbags Wrestling Podcast number 138. We are thankful if you're joining us on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Plus, later on, it'll be available on any of your podcast locations, whether it's Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you get your podcast from. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check us out on Facebook, where you can always get up-to-date information, fun things like Superstar of the Day, celebrating birthdays. Plus, we have a bunch of other podcasts that you can listen to, and we'll plug those at the end of the show. This week, kind of a quiet week, and so we're just going to go through some of the news and also results of the last couple shows that have happened. Look at a little bit of the lack of build-up for the Royal Rumble, but to do all that, we have to first bring in Stephen O'Neill from Toronto. Good evening.
What, the Royal Rumble happening? What? The Royal Rumble's happening?
It might be maybe 10 days, but you wouldn't know it by the lack of promotion that it's received.
God.
So how you doing?
Good. It was beautiful here today. It was like 7 degrees. It's great.
Yeah, it wasn't like that here in London. I can't say it was bad, but it wasn't 7 degrees. We had a little bit of sun.
Wind chill. It would just like, I don't know, 2 or 3, but still nice. We have no of that shitty white stuff. It's great.
No,
it's almost the end of January. I'm living with life.
Nice. Yeah, we still have some snow here in London, and as you know, I work frontline worker in developmental services, working with people with disabilities. So keeping them safe is, best thing we can do. We have a lot of things not able to be done. We're stuck in houses, so we're doing day programs and everything by Zoom. So my life is in front of a computer, whether I'm at work or here with everybody. But I love doing this podcast, and that's why we're here. So looking at some of the news, with Orton wearing a mask, as seen this past week on Raw after Alexa Bliss fired the fireball on the following Monday. This week he followed up with a 10-minute soliloquy. It was like wearing Mr. Wrestling 2's mask, and they made him all look burnty. And he went on for 10 minutes, as it said, and saying he's going to burn down the Royal Rumble. But T-Bar from Retribution offered him a spot in Retribution as we're going to help you out. And, he's wearing the mask and stuff like that. So it's nice tongue-in-cheek there. But the main thing is WWE announced this week that WrestleMania is going to be happening for the next 3 years. And it's going to be sorry, you got a phone call, and I'm trying to hang up on it. My apologies. But anyways, next 3 years for WrestleMania have been done. Number 37 is happening this year, April 10th and 11th in Tampa, where they were supposed to be this past year. Then number 38 is going to be in Arlington, Texas at the AT&T Stadium, April 3rd. And number 39 is going to be in LA at the SoFi Stadium, April 2nd, where it was supposed to be this year. So thoughts on that, Stephen?
Those, I believe, were the next 3 coming up anyways, because this year should have been at SoFi, and then I think it was going to be in Texas at AT&T Stadium anyway. So it doesn't surprise me that they've just bumped some back. Here, because I'm hoping that maybe after these 3 WrestleManias, they can come back here to Toronto I think it's kind of due. I also do like, and I do wish WWE did this more often, announce 2 WrestleManias or 2, especially WrestleManias, because it is such a thing for fans to pre-plan to go out there. Because I know for me, I'm going to look at trying to get tickets to SoFi Stadium because I think it's going to be, like Aaron said, unbelievable. So I'm hoping by then it's going to be something that we can look at. Like, I mean, even this year, they're going to let, 25,000 people into Raymond James Stadium? They said something like that was the number I think I saw. Is they're starting at 25,000? Even if I honestly think even if the tickets were free, I wouldn't go this year. Literally because it's just there's too many risks. But
Exactly. So Stephanie says they're doing this to help people plan ahead and give hope. And as you mentioned, about 25,000. I have to apologize that this was an emergency call. Stephen, can you run down the results from this week on the shows?
Yeah.
And I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with what I thought was the worst of the 2 shows, which was Dynamite. And I'll go over why. It starts with -1's birthday, which was actually kind of fun. They brought the cake out. You knew someone's face was going in the cake. It was Hangman Page, Colt Cabana, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds versus Hybrid 2 and Chaos Project. Cabana flapjacked Luther into the cake. -1 went to cut a promo at the end. There was a little bit of a mic issue. Hit him with the kendo stick, then hit Sir Pentico with the kendo stick after the match. The Dark Order and Adam Page won with the buckshot lariat. They obviously at the end did is he going to join? And he said, I can't, even though everything went off like he said yes. And they had some stuff, dancers and stuff. Then we had Alex Marvez with Chris Jericho and MJF talking about tonight's match. And you can start to see the dissension slowly. MJF saying that he wouldn't do this match. That Jericho thinks it will make the group stronger, but you can see MJF starting to put that dissent in the inner circle. You'll see that later. Sting came out wearing a Brody Lee shirt, and Darby Allin came out. They didn't really get much into it before Team Taz came on the screen. Challenged him to a street fight. It has been reported, and I believe AEW's confirmed it. It's going to be Darby Allin and Sting versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in a street fight at Revolution. We can talk about that later. When Sean's back, Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker is taking place at Beach Break February 3rd. Then we get the first stupid segment of the night. Young Bucks show up at Kenny Omega's house. Alex Marvez just happens to be there with a cameraman. Michael Nawazaka greets him, brings him in. You then see the shirtless picture of Kenny Omega and Don Callis. Some stupid book dialogue. Then Callis kicks them out, leaves the camera, and then there's obviously later on you'll see they're trying to set up saying that Young Bucks beat up Don Callis and left a bruise on Young Bucks' face or on Don Callis' face. Cody Rhodes versus Peter Avalon. Cody Rhodes on social media says he would beat Avalon in under 1 minute. It looks like he was going to do it. He hit the Crossroads basically immediately, and then Jane Cargill's music hits. and Avalon got up pretty quick. I was a little disappointed about that. And then he low blow. And then this match went forever for no reason. And then Cody won via submission with the figure four. Cody slapped Avalon or Avalon slapped Cody, and then Cody went to go slap Avalon, and Avalon tapped out. It's not good. Then you got starting of a promo with FTR and Tully Blanchard. Then Jurassic Express shows up. We then had a match set for next week is Dax Harwood versus Jungle Boy 1-on-1, and everyone's going to be outside. Next match we saw John Moxley beat Nick Camarato, who kind of reminded me of Brody Lee, like they were talking, or Brody, Bruiser Brody. Was okay. Moxley won via submission, which was the sleeper. Moxley got on the mic. He said basically he was okay with Kenny Omega bringing in the Good Brothers because he's just going to pile the bodies up and break the bones. Dasha tells Eddie Edwards he's going to face Lance Archer for the first time next week. She asks him how he's going to prepare. He says he's not. She's going to fight, and then Lance Archer shows up, and they got into each other's face, and Roberts tells Kingston to leave his guys, Butcher and Blade, behind next week, and he'll see how Archer does it on his own. The Invisible Hand, Don Callis, then basically Omega shows up. Marvez asks what happened at the beach. Omega plays dumb. It was a dumb segment. Top Flight and Matt Sydal versus Private Party and Matt Hardy. Private Party is the number one contenders now for the Impact World Tag Team Champions, and they're facing the Good Brothers at No Surrender February 13th. It was announced today. This match was started okay, and then it got sloppy. Private Party and Matt Hardy won via pinfall when Cassidy hit Dante's midsection with a chair, and Quinn hit the shooting star press 1, 2, 3. So you can just see now that they're going full on heel. I'm actually excited.
They picked that up out of nowhere after being on Impact this past week. Sorry, I am back. Those who are watching, I had a phone call. My wife actually accidentally got into a little bit of a fender bender, so clearly I need to pay attention to that. She is fine.
Okay?
The car, she is fine. That's the main thing. The car, I got to look at when she arrives, but clearly, that's the main thing. Thank you for taking this part. You can continue, but I just want to check in.
Are you good?
I'm back, so we're good.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you had to go or not.
Nothing I can do, so she has to come home first.
Okay.
But
so post-match, Private Party attacks Sydal and Top Flight. Hardy hits twist or side effect on everyone. Then did he hit a side effect on everyone and then a twist of fate? Regardless, it was very awkward. Then the next segment, MJF and Wardlow talk with Santana, Ortiz, Sammy, and Jake. MJF basically says if it was up to him, this match wouldn't happen. But Jericho's the leader of the Inner Circle. You can see that where they're going. Sammy gets up into MJF's face. Sammy's held back. Things cool down. And MJF fist bumps 3 out of the 4. Sammy says they aren't there yet. This is where I actually turned off. Me and Sean were talking yesterday, and this is where I actually stopped watching AEW because a midget girl came out. She's 4'11". It was embarrassing. Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian, Miro, and Charles Taylor versus Leela Hirsch.
I was watching this match.
She, as Sean put it yesterday in our chat, she's the same size as Marco Stunt. It was bad. I turned it off. I didn't even watch the match. From what I see, Penelope Ford wins. Then Miro calls Charles in and wants an update. He tells Taylor he can take him to new heights, but he needs to let Orange Cassidy go. And Miro's his best friend now. Charles, in a tux, takes the mic and says Miro is his new best friend. Pockets looks saddened, and that was a waste of time. Backstage, Good Brothers beat up Penta, throw him into the garage door. Kenny Omega and Don Callis show up. Omega joins in the beating. Anderson then chokes Penta with a cable. Omega hits Penta with his boot and jams the point of boot into his eye.
Another eye injury.
Yeah, no, and Callis yells and laughs as the group leave. Next week we see it's the card. It's Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt versus Back Hardwood with Wheeler and Tully Blanchard in the corners. Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer. Cody responds to Shaq's comments from a few weeks ago. Wasn't that like a month ago? I'm really confused by this. This is another match that hurts my soul. AEW World Tag Team Champs, Young Bucks, and Impact World Tag Team Champs, the Good Brothers versus Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. So either the Good Brothers aren't going to show up, or they're going to leave the Young Bucks to themselves to lose. Or I'm not really sure what's going to happen. This is going to hurt my soul. In 2 weeks, we have AEW Dynamite Beach Break. It's the wedding of Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian. Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker with Reba, which could actually be a good match. A tag team battle royal. Winners face AEW Tag Team Champs at Revolution. Women's Championship Eliminator Tournament to determine the number one contender is then announced. And it's coming soon. Then we had the main event, Chris Jericho and MJF versus Santana and Ortiz versus Jake Hager and Sammy Guevara. The winner is considered the official tag team of the Inner Circle. This just, should have been never a match. It doesn't make sense. Commentary announced it will be John Moxley, Ray Phoenix, and Pac versus Kenny Omega, Carl Anderson, and Doc Galloway at Beach Break February 3rd as well. This is just kind of a hot mess a little bit. Basically, Jericho brings the bat into the ring. Hager drops him with a big foot. Wardlow sneaks the diamond ring to MJF. MJF sees it and knocks MJF down with a punch. A lot of back and forth. The win, Sammy hits the GTH on Jericho and nails a bunch of other guys. Sammy looks to take down MJF. He ends up hitting Wardlow off the apron. MJF rolls up Sammy and grabs the tights for the 1-2-3. That's how they go off the air.
Yeah, and they went up really quickly, like they were running out of time. I was going to also mention that the women's Eliminator, looking at the logo, they had like a U.S. and Japanese split. So I'm wondering if they're bringing in Rio and all the other ones after they quarantine to then do the Eliminator.
The only thing I don't know, I would assume that if, say, Tony Khan was to buy NWA, maybe he would combine a lot of the titles. I don't really get it. Why are you having a girls' eliminator challenge when the girls you have? So Britt Baker, great when she's with someone a little more experienced. It makes her look like $1 million. Serena Deeb, amazing. Nyla Rose, I think Nyla Rose is an amazing story, an amazing wrestler. Who else do they have? Penelope Ford, she's okay. I found her match with, I forgot, one of the more veteran. Oh. No, she was with a more veteran women's wrestler maybe a month or two ago, and she looked really good. You have Anna Jay and Ty Conti, green as grass. Unless you're going to have a lot of veterans come in, it's probably not going to be some pretty matches, and that scares me. We haven't seen Rio in a year. Why bring her back for this? There's a lot of things I'm not a fan of Rio. Oh, I know. What's the other one? The one that looks like Freddie Mercury.
Sakasawa? Yuki Sakasawa? Or something like that?
I don't know. We haven't seen her in months. I mean, Impact saw Taya Valkyrie finish up. I don't see her going to AEW. I see her ending up in WWE to be with her husband. It's the only thing.
I would love that.
Sorry?
I would love that. I was thinking about that actually earlier today, or sort of a dream situation, because, today is Maurice's birthday. So that's what made me think about that. And imagine Miz and Morrison, Maurice and Talia as a group, just annoying people. And eventually they go after the tag titles. They split. You get some mixed tags. There's so much you could do with those four just for at least 6 to 9 months. And
you could really do it over a year, because you have the guys go after the men's tag titles, if the women going after the women tag titles. There's lots of things you can play with there. I'm better
options to go there.
I'm gonna guess she's gonna end up in WWE, but I haven't seen anything. I mean, it'd be interesting. And you'll notice we're not talking about MLW this week because it hurt my soul, so I'm not gonna waste my breath this week because I can't put them down. I also saw the NWA roster. There's not a lot of women left. I'm also assuming Thunder Rosa is going to be in this women's eliminator match. Who knows? All right, so NXT starts. It looks back at last week's Dusty Rhodes, the men's Dusty Rhodes Classic. We also get a hype for the women's Dusty Rhodes Classic, which kicks off tonight. And the Fight Pit main event. First match right out of the gate is first round matchup of the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. You had Leon Ruff and Kushida versus The Way, which is Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano. Not a bad match, back and forth. Kushida and Leon Ruff won. When Kushida ended up dropping Gargano and nails a suplex and a bridge to win. I was a little surprised by that. Now, Kushida and Ruff are taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans in the quarters. Pete Dunne, then there's a vignette for Pete Dunne. Really well done. Made him look like a superstar. Vic Joseph says Kyle O'Reilly's aggravated his jaw injury last week, but he's still medically cleared to compete. We saw a quick video of Karrion Kross and Scarlett, who are amazing, and I really think should be on the main roster anytime. I'm not going to waste my time on this Malcolm Levin segment with Tyler Rust. He ended up later taking on Bronson Reed. It was not good. Karrion Kross then beat Ashante the Adonis with the what did he hit him with? Oh, he got up. He basically hits him with big forearms to the back of the neck and then covers him pretty easy. Then he puts him after the match in the cross jacket submission. Then we got a vignette on MSK, which was the Rascals. I love MSK. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Lucha House Party is still the face Imperium, which is where we're going. It's Imperium versus Lucha House Party. This was kind of an upset to me because you did have Lucha House Party win. Lindsay hit a shooting star press to win. After the match, so now Lucha House Party is taking on Liga do Phantasma in the quarterfinals. As they're posing and Imperium's getting their wits about them on the floor, you actually saw Alexander Wolf and snapped into the Imperium pose, and Barthel and Archner did the same at the bottom of the ramp. So I'm excited to see Imperium the start at least 3 out of the 4. We saw the fight pit weigh in from earlier. Thatcher weighed in at 225. Ciampa weighed in at 205. Then we had the women's Dusty Rhodes Classic start. Beth Phoenix actually came out. It's her first time being at the CWC, and I don't even know how long. She normally does the commentary from home, but she came out with General Manager William Regal to talk about it, how history. They went through a lot of the women who have come through. First match in the women's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Team Ninja, which is Casey, Kingston Zero, and Kaden Carter versus Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm. I actually thought Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm would win this, but Team Ninja actually wins. Colin Zero tagged in and went to the top and hit some sort of huge 450 move for the win. After the match, they celebrated. It was kind of interesting. NXT champion Finn Balor stormed into Regal's office. He wants Pete Dunne, but first he wants to start with the tag team match against Orny Loken and Danny Butch. Basically, he's like, I'll go 2-on-1. Regal's like, that's not happening. You have to find a partner. Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage. She announces that Ashante the Adonis is injured by Karrion Kross and is not able to compete in the Dusty Rhodes Classic anymore on 205 Live. Adonis was to team with Desmond Troy against Nice and Arian Daivari. There's no word on the replacement yet, but we will get into that after I read everything. Bronson Reed destroys Tyler Ruffs pretty quick. Then you had, towards the end of the show, you had Finn Balor basically walk into the Undisputed Era's locker room and basically want O'Reilly to be his tag partner. He basically was like, well, are you going to do it? And O'Reilly agrees. So they're going to face next week Orny Loken and Danny Burch, which I think could steal the show. There were some more promos with Santos Escobar. Didn't really do it. And then Fight Pit match, which was the match of the night. Hard-hitting, amazing. If you haven't seen it, please go out of your way to watch it. Ciampa basically tapped out when he was all twisted up in the corner. It looked like, and they made it look really good. Thatcher used a modified stretch muffler to win. It looked like he really could have hurt him if he really wanted to. It was actually kind of nice. Then WWE today put out a behind the scenes in the training room. Ciampa's getting looked at his knee and his ankle, and the doctor's like, you're lucky that you didn't break it. Thatcher walked in and basically Ciampa was like, why didn't you break it? And he was like, respect. So now Thatcher and Ciampa are in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. They're wrestling tomorrow on 205 Live. They took Adonis' spot, tag team spot. So I'm very interested. So here are the ratings for last night, which kind of surprised me. AEW Dynamite drew 854, which was up. And NXT drew 659, which was up again. So both were up. A little surprised for me with the presidential inauguration and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see I think it's Saturday or Monday, the final numbers when they run all the replay watches, what they actually come out to be. Overall, one good match, one woman midget that made me stop watching. I don't know why.
With the birthday party. Think
The
of the
birthday party,
happy.
I'm not going to shit. I thought the birthday party
That's
was
what
well
I'm saying.
done.
Think of the happy moment with -1 having the biggest socially distanced birthday party ever.
So if the situation was different from 3 or 4 weeks ago, I might have been a lot more angry about how the birthday party was. But given the circumstances, I give it 2 thumbs up.
There you go. And you got the fight pit match, bookending everything. So it kind of works out.
But what did I say to you on our Facebook chat? The fuck is there a midget doing on AEW? And you're like, what? Because Sean's, I think, about 4 to 5 minutes behind us on, because you watch it on the app. He's like, what? Oh, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, the TSN app is, I guess, a little bit lagging behind on, I guess, regular cable. So, yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought you were meaning Marco Stunt for a moment, and then out came, what's her name? But thank you for running down the results of yesterday's shows.
There's some news that just came out not that long ago. There's a special WWE backstage returning for one night. Renee Paquette, Paige, and Booker T. It is Saturday, January 30th at 8 p.m. on FS1. Obviously, we'll get it on the app if you have it. It's for the Royal Rumble. It's a special Royal Rumble. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I heard that she was still under contract to Fox, so Fox was still going to be doing those type of shows to hype up the bigger shows. So kind of makes sense. We'll have to see what happens on that show if they make anything special and for a reason to do it. But yeah, that's something I did not have in my notes. But going back to notes, Bully Ray is not a fan of AEW. Shocking. Saying that it looks very indie-esque and comparing to the more polished NXT. But then Booker T spoke up on his podcast and said that, neither is better than or worse than the other, and everybody needs to be friends, and just that every company needs to figure out how to do similar things differently.
Yeah, no, AEW does things, and I just
shake your head.
Well, you're telling me that Leela Hirsch was the best person they could. She was supposed to face Nyla Rose last night until Nyla came. And that's okay. If it would have been a complete squash match, like Nyla Rose would have killed this girl in like a minute, cool. Penelope Ford and her went, I don't even know how long because I turned it off. But from what I read, it was like a back and forth match. And I know she has like a legit background in something. She's 4 foot nothing.
And then it made it into a backdrop for everything going on with Miro and Orange. So, yeah. NXT has added 3 more women to their roster to be part of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. You mentioned about that starting this past last night on NXT. But each woman has also gotten a name change at the same time. You'll see Zoe Stark, formerly known as Lacey Ryan, Gigi Dillon, formerly Priscilla Kelly, and Cora Jade, formerly known as Elena Black, all being a part of the Dusty Rhodes Classic. I believe Stark and Jade are going to be a team, and Dolan is going to be part of a tag team with one of the 4 horsewomen.
Yeah. Now, Tampon, they signed Tampon Girl, which surprised me.
Girlfriend, wife.
wife, I was really surprised she's not in AEW. I mean, but all three of these women not are just signed to, I think, the Women's Dusty Road Classic. I think they've all got contracts now.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
I believe that's how I read it, is they all are contracted.
Well, while you look that part up, looking at other things, WD's deal with Tampa, the Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida, is coming up in April because the Devil Rays will want their stadium to play baseball in. So people are wondering if bringing in fans at WrestleMania is going to be sort of a soft reopening to be able to go to different arenas and bring in some fans, because setting up the Thunderdome in different arenas until they can get a permanent site is going to be hard for them to do. That's why they're not removing it for the Royal Rumble at the end of the month and not bringing in fans then. So your thoughts possibly on that?
I don't. I'm torn because I don't see them necessarily being able to have fans after the Royal Rumble, but I don't see them. They're going to have to leave Tropicana. I think by the end of March they have to be gone, like right around just before WrestleMania. So I think if they can't find somewhere, I could see them back at the Performance Center short term. But to me, I don't know too many places they're going to be able to go and have fans consistently, because I mean every state is different right now. So could it be different by the time we are in March? Yeah, it really depends on how quickly the vaccines can get out to everyone. But I mean,
maybe they can find some minor league ballparks that once Grapefruit baseball is done, they can start invading them. Like,
I mean, you're going to need, if they're going to use that Thunderdome setup, you're going to need an indoor stadium. And the thing is if you're going to use it, you're going to need it for, I'm assuming you wouldn't take anything less than 2 to 4 months. Like I would assume 3-month minimum if you're going to put all that time and effort to bring it in.
yeah, there's a lot of setup to do that. That's why, as I said, that they're not going to take it down just for one evening of Royal Rumble. But if they can't do the Thunderdome setup and they want to bring in fans as a soft reopening ish, they're probably going to have to find some outdoor or amphitheaters sort of style like Daly's Place has.
And I don't think that's I mean, Daly's Place is great short term, but I don't think that's a great setup long term either. Like they're leaving to go to Miami for at least a month because they need some indoor timing.
Here's a suggestion from Aaron. Maybe they'll go to do it UFC. They could have fans.
Yeah, I don't know if people are willing to. The superstars are willing to travel unless you're going to tape like multiple episodes. Because I don't know how many are going to want to go for long term. So from what I gathered, they're signed, all three of the females, to like contracts. And correction, Princess Kelly is Darby Allin's ex-wife.
Okay. So I wasn't sure. I did meet her at the summit in Toronto, the women's event during SummerSlam weekend. She was actually pretty nice. Just she got that huge viral video thanks to her.
Nope.
Each WrestleMania is scheduled to be about 3 hours with maybe a kickoff show. So they're going to be short like last year. The Undertaker was on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, and he talked about steroid use in the old days where people felt that they needed to be bulked up and look huge, and also the difference between the locker rooms of those era where there were sort of your blue-collar grinders and real men compared to showing up in the locker rooms today where they're all playing video games and trying to look pretty. And so he's thinking wrestling has gotten quite soft over the years.
It has changed. If you look at where it started to where it is now, it's definitely different. I don't know if I'm not going to dispute the Undertaker calling it soft, but I wouldn't necessarily think that they're soft. I mean, it's different.
Yeah, it's more performance and everything, I think, now, and that's why everybody's sitting backstage doing video games compared to sitting down and playing cards, and there's too much people working out their match than just playing it by ear. Dark Side of the Ring, Season 3, Steve Austin was interviewed for it. He's going to be part of the Brian Pillman episode. And other than Brian Pillman, other themes are going to be FMW, XPW, Nick Cage, the WCW New Japan Collision in Korea event that happened in 1995, a episode on the Smith family, which includes Grizzly, Jake, the Snake Roberts, Rockin' Robin, and Sam Houston. And there's going to be an episode on Bruiser Bedlam as part of the episodes that are already scheduled in Season 3, which will end up getting here in Canada on Crave. And it's on Vice in the United States.
I love the series.
Okay.
I love the series. I watch it. I don't watch it when it first, I binge watch 2 or 3 episodes because it's addicting.
Yeah, I loved Dark Side of the Ring, and I'm so glad that they're getting more episodes. Rey Mysterio was on the bump the other day talking about the Royal Rumble, said that he would be willing to toss his own kid out of the ring if it came down to him and Dominic to do so. So I don't know if he's hinting at something that's going to happen in the Rumble. Do you see that happening? Would you like to see Dominic turn on his dad, or eventually a Dominic versus Rey feud that leads to like an emotional WrestleMania moment?
This is going to sound really bad, but I don't actually care. I think that they're going to set it up. I think it's too early. I think they should. He's not ready to Dominic to have, even with a match with Rey Mysterio, it's going to not be as good as it should be. So I would much rather them give it another year, let him get his wits about him in the ring, and then let him.
A nice slow burn between father and son learning, and then be a big shock when obviously it would have to be Dominic turns on his dad or something like that because he's holding him back. Would be an awesome storyline.
Which is the way, if you're going to do it, I would have Dominic throw him out.
Yeah. Dominic would have to be the heel because he's so much taller than his dad and wanting to be hungry and stuff like that. Would be a good storyline, but yeah, I would agree. A good slow burn, a year potentially, wouldn't hurt. Chad Gable said that Jason Jordan is working on doing a comeback after 3 years of being on the shelf. He's currently a agent, and he'd like to reform American Alpha. I don't know if that's going to happen.
To me, if Jason Jordan can come back, cool. I think the only way, well, first he has to get medically cleared, and the only way I can see WWE letting him come back truly is in a tag team where you can limit a lot of bumps, and I don't ever see him, unfortunately, getting a singles run. Not because he's not deserving. Hell, him and Chad Gable are amazing, but I don't see them getting a true singles run until I can see them going as a tag team. I think they could be right into the tag team championship. I would start them probably back in NXT for a little bit, let them, if they can do it, make sure that they get their feet under them and everything. But I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to be a tag team, and if he gets medically cleared, then I'm all for it. But I don't want him to try to get medically cleared when it could do more damage than good. So,
yeah. Paul Heyman teased that there could be another member added to the Roman Reigns stable with Jey Uso. He's hinting it could be Apollo Crews, since we saw Apollo backstage in that vignette talking about the contracts and stuff like that getting signed, which we saw that with the bait and switch with Kevin Owens being inserted instead of Adam. No, I want to say
Adam Pearce.
Adam Pearce, yeah. So there's that. I would actually like to see, and I hate it because I'm a Kevin Owens fan, and we talk about it later on with the setup. I might as well mention it now. That what if Jimmy finally returns and is with Kevin Owens, but then in the last minute turns and joins his brother and cousin, building their stable up more, and that keeps the belt on Roman Reigns.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't mind that. I mean, I've always assumed that the third member is going to always be Jimmy Uso. It's the only thing that would make the most sense. I mean, I assume that's going to happen.
Yep. Renee Paquette recently had Tony Khan on her podcast, Oral Sessions, and she was praised by Khan for her work. Renee then tweeted Vince McMahon and invited him onto her show. Don't know if he'll accept her invitation or not, but be a good listen if it's anything like the podcast that he did a couple of years ago with Steve Austin, but you never know. It's Vince McMahon and age. Roman Reigns said that his dream match for WrestleMania 39 at SoFi Stadium would be against The Rock. And since that's in Hollywood, but I don't know if The Rock would be available for that. Riddle took a photo with Gilbert and poked fun at Goldberg in the Twitter posting. And the 2016 Royal Rumble has a bit of a edit to it. The kiss that Ric Flair forced upon Becky Lynch in the match with Charlotte has been edited out. Could be a whole thing with the Me Too movement. Don't blame them. And WWE is looking to crown a Mr. Royal Rumble with a voting tournament. And they're going to have 8 of the winners of Royal Rumbles taking on 8 guys who eliminated the most people in Royal Rumbles, and narrow it down, almost like we're going to be doing with Fantasy Warfare Tournament.
I swear they listen to our conversations.
With 16 winners of the Royal Rumble. And so that's coming up. And one final note before we get out of here, because I do need to get going with my wife coming home any moment, is that the Royal Rumble is happening on January 31st. And we have the 2 title matches, Drew McIntyre against Goldberg, and Universal Champion last man standing match with Roman Reigns taking on Kevin Owens. The Men's Royal Rumble has only 9 people in it so far. Lashley, Styles, Orton, Miz, Jeff Hardy, Daniel Bryan, Otis, Jey Uso, and Cesaro, while the women's only has Nia, Charlotte, Mandy, Dana Brooke, Peyton Royce, Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler, Bianca Belair, and Bayley. And there's a lot more names to go in with only 10 days to go. So that's the Royal Rumble. It's coming up on January 31st. And Steven, do you have anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah, so on Tuesday, I have a new series on cwnonline.ca. It's called Slugging with Stephen O'Neill, featuring Tuesday that just passed had Anthony Kingdom James. This week is Jim Strider. Look for that dropping about 6 p.m. every Tuesday on CWN Online.
Excellent. Look forward to reading your 10 questions and seeing all the answers from everybody. And you can go check that out, as Stephen said, at cwnonline.ca. And there's all the information over there, podcasts and whatnot. With us, you can always get the Fantasy Warfare Tournament, where you just did part 3 with the greatest WWE United States champion. Next week, we're going to do the greatest WWE Intercontinental champion. And next week on this show, we will have the final 4 of the 4 brackets battle out and see who comes up on top. Greatest mid-card champion. And we also will have every Thursday at 12 o'clock is This Week in History. Jonesy and I break down the week that was in the history of wrestling. This week it dropped earlier today, and that was January 15th to the 21st. So I hope you check that out. If you love history, please join us, like us, give us some suggestions, your thoughts, and we'll do it from there. Any last words, Steven?
See ya.
Peace.